Hello and welcome everyone. It's Stitching in the Cottage Friday morning. Welcome. I'm Jean with Captain Stitches, and it is a beautiful cold morning here this morning outside the cottage, and I had to turn one of the ceiling fans off in the cottage. It was getting a little chilly actually this morning. What a change in weather. But welcome everyone. Welcome to the early birds, my three musketeers that have been having a good time in the chat this morning. Michelle, Mike, and Danielle. Thank you. Great to see all of you. And June Hansen is also here, as is Carol Rochow. And I know I'm always pronouncing that wrong, Carol. Sorry, I get the accent wrong on that every time. But welcome to you all. It is great to see you. Uh, but yeah, doing something different this morning. It's going to be a great new project that I just decided that I am going to be doing. And it's about time to get started on it because I think it's going to be one that takes just a tad bit of time, but it's going to be a very enjoyable one. So I'm going to share that with you all here in just a little bit. We'll give a little bit more time for some others to pop on and in the chat before I get into all that. So you weren't being bad, just needed a little caution there. But yes, you do see a yo-yo. Yeah, there's some good things that are going to be going into this next project. A combination of several things that I love, all thrown into one big project. So it is going to be very fun to do and very interesting for some of you to see what it is that I'm going to be doing. Good morning, Debbie. It is great to see you this morning. And so, but like I said, we will give that just a little bit more time so I don't have to go over things a second time, hopefully. Ooh, that hot coffee cup feels good on the on the cold hands. Auntie Debbie Williams. Oh, and it's funny. And Danielle, I got to tell you, I see little puppies peeking at me all over in the cottage. I have them different places. So when I look, I forget where I put some of them, and every once in a while I glance and there's a little puppy staring at me, which I just noticed right in the corner there when I look at the side of my laptop. But anyway, they are so cute and cuddly. I'm really enjoying them, Danielle. Who's interrupting me? I didn't see that. Oh, well, I get it. Okay, I see that now, Mike. But yeah, LOL, too funny. Yeah, it's funny how I just looked over and it's like, oh, okay, the little turquoise puppy over there in the corner. I think that the pink one's hiding on the other side. Whip's up over there underneath the TV, and Stitches is right over by the sewing machine. So, and by the way, Whip is not in the cottage during my live this morning. He's been a little rambunctious lately, so he is inside visiting Stitches and his daddy during the live this morning. So he will not be interfering. But yeah. But anyway, I have several things down here. And it's cold, but for some reason my hands don't want to let what I'm working on slide very nicely this morning. I need to bring some powder out here once in a while to be able to use when having that problem, but hopefully it will go away and I will be able to work well on what I am doing. But I am going to just for now add in the other camera. We will have both of me in here for a while so you can see that I have some supplies laid out here for what I am going to be doing. So we have 4 charm packs here, 2 of each of there are 2 of this one. That is the same. It is called Gypsy Soul Basic Gray by Moda. Beautiful. Some of my favorite, oops, if I go this way, you'll be able to see some of those better, but some of my favorite colors in there, of course. And then the other one that we have is Chance of Flowers, and it has some of the similar colorways in it. But I am going to be using both of those in this project, and I will probably need about 4 times that as I go along, finding other ones with similar colorways in them to be able to add to this project. So that's just talking about part of it. That's the fabric side of this project. Thumbs up. Thank you, Debbie, for reminding everyone. And hello, Joe, of Vintage Style by Joe. Good morning. Good morning. It is great to see you this morning. And there is Donna popping in this morning. Not expecting to see you this morning. Great to see you. And she says, no, hopes everyone is well. Yes. All right. So people are starting to pop in, and we're going to have already talked about the charm squares here. And of course, a little secret giveaway down here showing up there, isn't it? I forgot to move that out of the way, but we have the famous yo-yo maker down here, so we will be using that. And of course, and we have, I'm afraid to take it out of here, don't want to lose that, but we have a teeny tiny steel crochet hook. It is a size 1.50 millimeter. Very, very small. It is a size 8 crochet hook that I will be using this morning. And with that, I take this off the top of it, we are using size 10 crochet thread for this project. So we have some quilting that will be used in, well, a form of quilting that will be used in this project. We have yo-yos that will be used in this project, and we have crocheting that will be used in this project. So you may see that I am kind of on a handwork, hand stitching, hand piecing, doing things by hand right now seems to be what I am loving doing at this stage in my creative side for some reason. Always kind of revert back to that, but love doing that. And this project has a lot of handwork in it. Let me see. Welcome. So with Debbie, it is great to see you this morning also. Everyone's saying hello, but work PC is down with the Windows out. Okay, I understand that. I was a little worried, wondering whether everything, was going to work on YouTube and all that this morning also, and it does seem to be working. But the first thing, as some of you may have guessed what this project might be, welcome to you this morning, Samantha. It is great to you. She couldn't get her laptop on this morning. Ugh. Yeah, I think there's going to be some problems for a while with some operating systems and things going around the way it sounds. But anyway, it is going to be a project that is, of course, going to be using fabric. I'm using charm squares because they are just the right size without having to cut anything for the large yo-yo, which doesn't make a very large yo-yo. I think they should change their terms on their sizing. But I am going to be crocheting around the yo-yos. This is just a test one to show what it is going to be. Haven't started using the regular fabrics yet. But I will be making many, 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 many yo-yos, and then I will be doing the crochet edging around them, and then they will all be connected into one large quilt. So that is the combination of quilting, making yo-yos, and crocheting all thrown into one project that will all be done by hand. And it will be something that is very portable and easy to take along in one of my huggable totes that those are behind me. I actually started two more last night, so I've been working on those too. They seem to be a little bit addictive. So warning, if you try one of those out, be prepared to make more than one. And Debbie says that she bought the copper glove. Seems to help with my carpal tunnel. Awesome. I am glad to hear that, Debbie. Great. Awesome, awesome. So I gotta tell you a little story about that. Debbie Williams, who's in the chat, my friend that stops over every once in a while to the Stitching Cottage, and we do things together, was asking about the compression gloves, and of course, was trying out the ones that I have, and I was telling her which ones I prefer and the reasons why and why not. Well, the ones, I had two pairs of, so I told her to go ahead and take the second pair, and use it. Well, turns out when she got home, she ended up with two right gloves and I have two left. So next time when she comes, she's got to bring one of those back and we have to switch so that we have one for each hand instead of just one hand. But that's kind of funny how that happened. But and guess who Nancy is here this morning also. Welcome to you. And one of the buildings has a fire alarm system down also. Well, that's not good. Yeah. Oh, yeah, and a lot of problems I noticed at the airports this morning. But anyway, to get started with this project, the first thing that we're going to have to do is, of course, make a lot of yo-yos. So for anyone that isn't familiar with making a yo-yo, if you watch me, you should be familiar with them by now because I do a lot of projects with yo-yos. But like I said, using the charm squares and the large size yo-yo maker, you do not have to pre-cut a bunch of fabric for making your yo-yos. And I am lining up this line that I have here with the one of the nubs on the other part of the yo-yo. And then that just snaps together in there. And then I am going to trim this down so it is about 1/8 to 1/4 inch left on that to turn under with my finger when we start stitching these. But yes, I have no idea how many right now I am going to have to make. I will figure the math in that after a bit. Uh, just kind of decided that I was going to do this, so I haven't figured out according to the size of the yo-yos and the crocheting that will be done, how much space they are going to take up, but I will figure the math of that out and then have at least a very close estimate of how many yo-yos I am going to have to make, which I know that this isn't even close to how many that I'm going to need. As long as YouTube stays working, we're good. Oh, as long as you have handwork to do, you're good. But oh, let me see. Yo-yos, the universal flower, great for many projects. I love the way you stated that, Joe. Yes, very, very useful. Come in handy for many, many, many things. But I always take my finger. I find that it helps if I take and kind of pre-smooth that part that we're going to be holding down with my fingers first. It seems to lend itself to working better that way. We got too long of a thread here, but you know that for doing yo-yos, you don't want to run out of thread in the middle of doing it. So you're always going to be using a long thread. But I am going to start right there by that little black nub. It's not black. I put that on there with permanent marker so that I can see that and know where I am always starting and ending. And I also always have my name and initial on it, the size that the yo-yo maker is, and the size square that is needed to make that. So I don't have to look it up if I forget. All the information is right there. And then I have a line on this part that coincides with where my start and end is. And we are just going to go in the little slotted holes that are there for us to stitch through all the way around this. And I am using upholstery thread. I like to use a strong thread. It doesn't matter the color that you use because it's not going to show. I just use a neutral color. But I use it because you are going to be gathering these up and you do not want that thread to break. So I use upholstery thread. If I don't have upholstery thread, I use hand quilting thread because it is also strong. And just checking to see if there was anything else in the chat. But you all are being very, very quiet. But I could, all right, I'm missing the hole there. There we go. I could put the spotlight on the overhead, but I really don't think you'd be able to see this any better, but we will try it and see how you oops, okay. Go down here. Wrong one. Let's go up here instead. There we go. And now you can just watch while I work on this instead. But just gonna go all the way around with this long thread. You just want to make sure that you go slow, don't get a knot in the middle of it, or you won't be happy. Got lots of hearts in people's comments this morning. Hearts and thumbs up. So, is everyone getting a cool down on the weather where you live this morning? I know yesterday we had a cooler day, but this morning it was only 54 degrees here this morning when I took Whip out at 3:44 this morning when he got me up. Did not really appreciate that. That's 2 mornings in a row for some reason he has gotten up early wanting to go out. It's like that's my one best hour of sleep. And of course, since I was up, I just decided that well, too early to start the coffee and the breakfast or anything like that. And so Whip and I just came out to the cottage after he was done with his little walk around the backyard. And I sat and worked on crocheting one of the huggable totes that I had started last night. I have 2 of them going at the same time. It's like, uh, get bored with the one, work a little on the other one. But I had gotten some new yarn and I just couldn't wait to start trying the new yarn out. Like I need any more yarn, but yeah, there isn't any supply that I really can say that I need in the cottage. So now I'm back to my starting point. I'm going to go back into, oops, where I started, making sure I don't go through my knot. And then I am going to come up in the one past that and then pop it out there carefully. Just start that off there. And I just always find that it's easy to Just kind of lay that back in the bottom portion of the yo-yo maker. Stick your finger in that hole to start um, pulling the gathers up. It just seems to make it go the right direction. Really easy that way. And I'm pulling this really, really, really tight. And then I'm going to make a knot down in the one fold where it won't be seen without getting an extra knot in there where I just, you want to watch your thread, because if you see it starting to kind of tangle, you want to make sure that you go slow. I'm going to make a double, oops, caught on my fabric down there. A double knot, pull that tight, and then what I do is where the folds are in those gathers, I always stick my needle back in there, come up back and through, and that buries that knot. So you can just cut your thread off out there and it will not be seen. And then we can just clip that thread off right there where we came out, and it'll be buried inside our yo-yo. And then you just have to smooth it out. So now we have another one to show you what the next step is, which of course you can sit there and just make a whole bunch of yo-yos. And it is going to take a lot of yo-yos. I'm going to set that off to the side, and I'm going to show you now what you would be doing to prepare it to be able to crochet around it. Oops. Move some of those out of the way. And what I do is I have my cutting mat here, and you probably can't see, but the little dots are marked on here for the 1/4 inch. And I am going to put a dot a 1/4 inch apart all the way around on this yo-yo with my disappearing ink pen. And the way that I do that is I just line it up right on there, and just inside the fold, I'm going to put a little dot right on those 1/4 inch marks. And all I have to do is turn that over to the beginning, and it's already lined up. So I can put the other ones on and just keep moving it until I end up all the way back to where I started. And that is a really easy and quick way to mark that, because this is where I am going to be next, then starting the foundation part for which all the crochet will be done, so you can do your stitching for that. That's a lot of little dots, which we just need one more there because we're back at the beginning. Okay, so we have that all done. And if it's a really humid morning, some of your little dots may disappear before you get to them. Just keep that in mind. Good morning, Tracy. It is great to see you this morning. And Lori Clark is here this morning also. And Samantha says it's 80 in Georgia, but yes, that is much cooler. Granddaughter's surgery is to remove her tonsils and adenoids. And of course, the surgery is at 1:40, so she's hungry. Oh, poor girl. Sorry about that, Michelle. I hope everything goes fine with her surgery, getting her tonsils and adenoids removed. And Debbie says, still hot here on the West Coast, many wildflowers within our province. I'm so sorry, Debbie. Please, I hope that you will remain safe. And yeah, prayers go out to everybody affected by that. All right, so I guess I have caught up with that. Okay, so then the next step for this is we need to make a foundation to be able to crochet into. So I am using the same crochet thread that I'm going to be using for crocheting. I've got a knot on the end of it, and yeah, I don't need that long a tail on there. We're going to trim that off a bit. But I am going to go start by taking my needle to the inside of the yo-yo, and sometimes it's a little hard to get that in there. Just make sure you're not coming. Okay, come on, get in between there. We'll start at a different edge. It doesn't seem to want to get through the little, there we go. I had to peek them up. Okay, so I've got my needle in between the layers of the fabric there, and I'm going to bring it up, which I forgot. Before you do that, you have to make the holes where you mark them. That would help. And I have a very, very sharp little awl that I use. Where'd I go? There we go. And that is what I am going to use to first go on each one of those dots. And by having your cutting mat over here, you don't have to worry about, you know, damaging your surface, but you don't really need that. You can just take and poke it through. And I'm just making those little holes right where I marked that, all those 1/4 inch marks apart, which using the correct needle, you could probably go through with your needle and not have to do this, but it really does help in getting the eye of the needle through on our next step. So take the time and go ahead and do this. It just makes it so much simpler. And that is about 1/8 of an inch down from the edge of the fabric. You don't want it down too far. But I'm going in each one of those until I get back to the beginning. And what I am going to be doing for the first initial stitch for the foundation to work into on this is a blanket stitch. And that will form the foundation for us to be able to do our crochet stitching in. Goodness, seems like I'm never going to get back to the beginning here. Do I already have those? Okay. Those holes are already made. I was going to say they're going through pretty quick, easy there. And I'm going to put the end back on that. And now I am going to go where I was and take my needle, find the middle of there, go up, and it doesn't matter where you start as long as you just bring it up into one of the holes that you made there, just on the top one. And I'm going to be hiding my knot underneath there. And to start with the first blanket stitch, I am going to go right back in to the same hole that I just went, bring that out, and I'm going to keep the thread behind and on top of my needle. No more. And that is going to form just a little knot on there for the start to be able to get everything working the correct way. So now I am just going to go in each one of these holes that same way, keeping my crochet thread behind and on top of the needle, and being careful not, because we have a very long thread on this too, because we don't want to have to stop midway and tie any knots and add. But there we have our first blanket stitch on the edge, and we are going to go all the way around doing that. And you can use, whatever size yo-yo you want. Just keep in mind, you won't be able to use a charm square with a larger size because you will need larger than a 5-inch square if you go up to the extra large. And so I'm just doing so it was a convenient size to use without having to cut a bunch of fabric, since there is going to be a lot. My thread keeps getting into other things, supplies that I already have sitting over here. Oh, Jean, those yo-yos are adorable, says Tracy. And I see that Lynn from Just for the Health of It made it this morning. Welcome, welcome to you. It is great to see you. And Samantha says, this is so interesting. I've never done yo-yos. Well, beware, because almost everything I show that people haven't done and they try that, they find out it becomes quite addictive and lots of fun. So you can get the yo-yo makers. They help a lot and they have directions with them, but I also have previous videos. I have one just dedicated to showing how to make the yo-yos on my channel. It's an earlier one. If you search for it, you'll be able to find that. But yeah, they come in handy for a lot of projects. I use them for embellishments in my slow stitching. And I'm missing that hole there. Got a shaky hand all of a sudden. Okay, there we go. But this is going to end up being a yo-yo quilt. I haven't fully finished developing the idea of what I may be doing in my head, because I'm thinking that I may add also some, I don't know, I'm thinking that I may add some type of sashing of fabric in between yo-yos. I'm not sure yet, and still going through the creative process in my mind of how exactly I am going to do all this. But basically, I will be using the fabric, making the yo-yos, crocheting the edging all around them, and then attaching them together into one large quilt. What size I end up making it right now, when I start figuring the math for how many I'm going to need per size, that will determine what size I end up making in the long run. I would like to make a bed, a bed size, either a twin or a queen. But we shall see. That is yet to be determined. But boy, the chat just went boom. Joe says that her 7-week-old kitten is having fun watching the chat going up. There's a weird comment. It's not, if there's a weird comment, it's not from you. Okay. Oh, that's funny. And Michelle says, I don't eat it. The rest of my family does. Okay, not sure what she's talking. All I saw was something about some kind of mush that went up there. And hello, good morning to you, Regina. You are fairly new. Okay, yeah, first time here. I was going to say, I did not recognize your name. Welcome, welcome. I'm so happy that you found me and are here joining us this morning. Thank you. And let me see. Samantha says, oh, Lord, I hope it's going to be a baby blanket. No, 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 no. That's going to take forever. You'd be surprised how quickly some things can come together, Samantha. Yes, it's going to take, longer than if I was making a quilt by machine, but this is I must have missed a mark in there, so I'm going to see. And yes, so I will be able to skip the step of pre-poking the holes, because with the needle that I'm using, I was able to go ahead and just put that right through there. So that is good to know. That's one step in the process I will be able to eliminate. So check that out and see, depending on the needle that you use, whether you are able to do that as well. Any step we can eliminate is good when it comes to as many steps as this one is going to be taking. Yes, Samantha. But very portable and very easy to do, anytime you are sitting someplace. If you have it with you, you can just take it out and, if you have your, well, even if you don't have all the yo-yos made, you can, be making yo-yos. You can be crocheting on some, whichever it is that you feel like doing at the moment, and you will be surprised how quickly you will be able to get some done. Which I realized this morning that the huggable totes that I have fallen in love with, besides the baskets, and I am able to make one from start to finish in 3 hours if I'm not interrupted. So yeah, it's surprising how little time some things take us. And Melissa's Makes is also here, which let me catch. Michelle says that she loves the look of the yo-yos with the crocheted edges. Makes me wish I could crochet. You can be taught, Michelle. And Tracy says, now you have me thinking of a few projects to make with them. Well, that's my goal, Tracy, always to inspire others to be able to do something. And guess who Nancy says? Oh, Jean, that is going to be time consuming. I have plenty of time, Nancy. What's time when creating something? And Melissa says, someone put yo-yos on my round robin quilt. I haven't quilted it yet because I'm still figuring out the best way to do it. It's a little thicker than a flat quilt top. Yes, which of course my suggestion would be to hand quilt it, but other than that, yeah, you're just going to have to do some custom quilting and work around the yo-yos. But you'll come up with something, Melissa. And welcome to you. It is great to see you here this morning also. And Tracy says a cute curtain valance. Yes, they do add nice trim to a lot of things. And Michelle says that would be gorgeous, Tracy. Yes. And Danielle says, Mama Jean, what kind of yarn are you using to do the crochet? I'm not using yarn. I am using crochet thread. It is size 10 crochet thread. It's the same as what you would use if you were making doilies. Well, majority of doilies. Some people use yarn for doilies, but yeah, crochet thread is what I am using. And it is the size 10. And I was debating between a white or the off-white. And when I looked at the majority of the fabrics and what I may be adding, I decided that the off-white would blend with more things than what the stark white would. So that is what I am going for. And it will give it that little bit of aged vintage look already right off from the start. So that is what I'm going with. All right, and I am all the way over to my start. So now all I have to do is go back in that same stitch where I started, come out of the back, and that finishes it off. And so that I have a knot that you will not be able to see, I am going to go around. I can get my needle to cooperate with me. I am going to go around this first stitch for starting. Yeah, that's what I am going to do when I can get my needle to cooperate with me. Okay, I'm going through that to bring my thread down. So it is just, and you will never notice, it puts a little twist in there but that way it is going to hold that thread, and I'm going back through the hole so that I am in between the layers again. Of course, make sure you don't go so far that you're going through the back layer there. So I was going to say it wasn't moving. It's a little tricky when you have everything in there. There we go. And I'm going to just come and slide my needle right back out the opening down here and not get any knots up here while you are doing that. And there, that brings it down. You can't tell that that was ever done. And now I can snip off my thread right here, leaving it long, and it will just be buried down inside that yo-yo. So now we are ready for the crocheting part. I'm going to go ahead and put my knot in the end of that thread so I don't forget, and pick it up and start without a knot in there, and just slide that back in there so it's ready when we get to that, which of course I'm going to explain what we're doing because I have this one started. So you have the blanket stitch, which gives you the foundation. I can hold that still to work your stitches in. So you are going to take your crochet hook for your first row, and you are going to slide it right into any one of those blanket stitches. And you are going to start by doing a single crochet in the first foundation stitch that you made, and then you are going to do 3 of them in each one of the blanket stitches all the way around, so that you have, that will be your base. You will have 3 single crochet stitches in each one of those foundation stitches, which are the blanket stitch, all the way around. And then, and as you see, I've got my single crochets all the way around and have started on what is the scalloped edge now. So for the scalloped edge, you are going to start by joining, of course, your thread and putting a, let me see where I am. 1, 2. You are going to start by doing a single. No, I got it. And let me think a minute here. Yes, you are going to start by putting a single crochet into the first one that you made, and then you are going to skip 2, and you are going to do 5 double crochet in the next one, and then you will skip 2 and do a single crochet, skip 2 and do 5 double crochets in the same stitch, and that is what your repeat is for getting your scalloped edge. So that is what I have been working on here. And I just did my single one. So now I'm skipping 2 stitches, and I'm going to do 5 double crochet in the same stitch on this next one. And yes, it is a small hook, a bit more tedious, but just the same as if you were working on something large. And I'm going to do 5 double crochet in that same stitch, which forms the scallop. Oops, go back through there. 3. And this will be the initial edging on all of them. Okay, I lost count. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1 more. And so that we have 5 double crochet in there. And then we are going to skip, and be careful that you don't miss that one right next to there that gets scrunched up from having 5 in the stitch next to it. You're going to skip 2 single crochets, and then you are going to do a single crochet in the next one. Turn your hook over the right way so you can catch your yarn. And then you will skip to single crochet and you're going to do the 5 double crochet again in the next one. And that is what you will do, repeating all the way around until you get back to where you started. And Carol says this is her first tote with the Bernay blanket yarn. Did you find, I found that it got very easy after that first couple rows. You can just feel where the stitch is because you can't see it. Did you find that out also, Carol, that it wasn't as difficult after you got the first initial 2 rounds done? That first one can be a little doozy, but I love how that is coming out with the Bernay, yeah, ombre blanket yarn. I'm almost finished with that one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, don't want to lose count here. Skip 2 and do a single. But that is what makes that beautiful scallop all the way around your yo-yo. And then you can decide whether you want to put an embellishment, a little crocheted, medallion on the center of that. You might want to put a button or something on the center of all those, or just leave them the way they are. That's up to you. But those will all be crocheted. And that will be the basis then for what there will be another pattern that I haven't decided yet that will crochet all of these together. And we ended up with a needle over here. Somehow I just left it laying there. We don't want that over there. But that is how I will be doing this many, many, many times over. And that one is just a practice one. I'll probably end up using it on some slow stitching project just to see how I wanted to, what I wanted to come up with to do my scallop and my edging on the yo-yo and how it would work out to make sure on one before going to all the ones that will be in my quilt in the end. But as an overview, again, the tools that I'm using is the orange, which is the large yo-yo maker. They are from Clover. You can purchase those on Amazon. I can leave a link for that in the description box afterwards for those of you that may not be familiar with them. And if you are using this size, the reason that I chose it is to be able to use charm squares, which I have a lot, and these are the ones that I picked out that I had that matched so far. I had 2 of each, and I will be adding a lot more to that as I go on, but I do not have to pre-cut any fabric this way, multiples and multiples and multiples of 5-inch squares to be able to make the yo-yos. So that is a quick and easy way. And if you are somebody that has a lot of pre-cuts, a lot of charm squares, a great way to be able to use them. And you can use them in some other type of projects. You don't have to be making a large quilt like I'm going to be doing with it, but I've always wanted to make a yo-yo quilt. And I think it will be fun to do that in a combination of some type of quilting and the crocheting and all that, combining it all together. Three of my loves, like I said: yo-yos, quilting, and crocheting, all by hand, all in one quilt. And it will, yes, it will take some time, but not as much time as you may think, because it is something that you can always have handy right beside you and just pick up and be working on it at any time. All right, Debbie, thank you for popping in. It was great to see you. Unsubbing people to channels and not giving notifications. Yes, they do that all the time, Michelle. You always need to go back and check and make sure that you are still subscribed and that your notifications are turned on, because YouTube has a way of going through and changing a lot of things from time to time. Exactly why they do it, I'm not sure, but I'm sure they have their reason for doing it. We just don't understand it. But, and Melanie, welcome to you. It is great to see you this morning. I believe that is also a new name in my chat. Yes, they are messing with us all the time. Okay, and Carol did answer me. She said, yes, she found out that it became easier to figure out where her stitch was using the larger blanket yarn that is so soft and mushy and cuddly that it just blends together. Let me, it's within reach. Let me grab that so I can show that to you quick so you know what we are talking about. And it comes in this great big, okay, forgot where I was. Great big, huge roll. And I'm going to switch views so I can show that better. Oh, let's come down here. And we will show that this way. But yes, it comes in this great big, huge ball. And this is the beginning portion of the colorway that I am using, the bottom of it. This side looks better. I'll show that one. Oops, my made a little noise in there. My stitch counter is laying inside there. But I wish you could feel this. It is so soft and cushiony. And you can not tell exactly where the stitch is to put your crochet hook, but you can feel it and you get to know very well where it is. But the very first row on the bottom, which we are doing uh, increased stitches in, can be a little bit difficult. But after you get through the first two, it becomes a lot easier to work with. But that is one of the totes that I am working on right now. I'm also working on another one that is using black and gray, and that is called the Huggable Tote. And I did leave a link previous to that in the description box on a previous one just last week that I showed that tote on. I believe it was on my week in review. So you can find that there, the pattern for that. It is a free pattern by Pretty Peaceful that you can download and print. And Tracy is saying, are the 5 double crochet stitches in the top of the chain stitch? No, it is in the single crochet stitches that you did as the first round after your blanket stitch all the way around. You do 3 single crochets in each one of the blanket stitches that you did first. That makes your foundation then for the rest of the crochet. So you are starting with a single crochet in the very first stitch when you get wherever you decide to start. Your first stitch that you decide to start in the first blanket stitch, you do 1 single crochet. In the first one, you skip 2, and then you do 5 double crochet in the next single crochet. And then you skip 2, do a single crochet, skip 2, do 5 double crochet again, all in one of the single crochet. You're always working into the single crochet, Tracy, that you did for the first one. Yes, it looks and feels like velvet, but and Regina must have asked about learning to crochet, which she said, Lynn says that she taught herself by getting a beginner kit with a book and watching some videos. And there are a lot of awesome crocheters on YouTube that you can also just do a search, and I'm sure you will be able to find many that are showing how to crochet, and that would be a great way to learn also. And I may at some point in time do some beginning teaching videos that will be recorded, not live or whatever, that you can refer to that will also teach some of the steps of crocheting. Don't know when I'll fit that in, but yeah, that may be added to my channel at some point in time also. Since I do so much crocheting on it, it would be good to have a few things for people to refer back to on that. Would flannel squares work for this, or would that be too thick? Um, no, you could use flannel. The only thing is, if you're going to use flannel, that's an awful lot, and you would want to stick with all flannel and not mix that with cotton because you're using squares. It would be, well, you could pre-wash it before cutting it, but yeah, you would have to definitely make sure that your flannel is pre-washed because it's going to shrink differently than the rest of the fabrics if you ever need to wash it. Just saying. And Rita is here from Rita's Roost. Hello. Welcome to you. She's babysitting with one of the littles. Oh, that is so much fun. And thank you for popping in, Rita. Great to see you. But I'm looking at the time. Like always, yeah, always. I never ever plan it. It comes out when I'm finished at a point, usually pretty close to the 1 hour. I like how that always works out that way. But and Carol says I got a lot done. Yes, I was working on both of them at the same time, Carol. So going back and forth. But yeah, was up early with WIP, so just came out here and decided I might as well work on it. And I'm not sure I missed what you may be referring to that you love that, Jean. Mike, sorry. Don't know what I was saying at the time that you typed that in. But ooh, that looks super soft. Must be talking about the judging from the rest of the comments, must be talking about the huggable tote with the blanket yarn. And Danielle says, Carol, that's because she didn't have me to distract her. Okay. No, I didn't. Whip wasn't distracting me. That's it. And Carol says, I only have 4 rows done. Oh, okay. Well, you'll get there, Carol. You had those. Well, yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah, just remembered that the little kitties will be out of your way later today, and maybe you'll be able to get more done. But and Regina says, a teacher at my school teaches crochet after school club. I teach a sewing club. Oh, well, that's awesome, Regina. That sounds like fun. Yeah, maybe you will be able to get with her and learn how to crochet if you don't already know. I think that's what I was getting from the gist of some of the comments. And Joe says, have a great day, everyone. Thank you, Joe, and thank you for being in the live and chatting with us this morning. Oh, and let me see if there's anything else. June is saying goodbye to everyone. Have a great day. And Mike, soul brother Mike, was saying the crochet. Thank you, Mike. All right. So that is the beginning of a new project that I will be doing and working on from time to time. I don't know why I am starting new ones, but it's just the way that my creative mind and my hands and everything want to work lately is with a lot of the hand working, hand stitching, needlework, needle arts that I love. And so that is what I am doing, going with the things that bring me joy and happiness right now. And that is one of the ones that I will be working on, just picking up from time to time. I have several others that are also hand piecing, hand stitching works that I will also be doing, just going from one to the other, whichever one it is that sparks my fancy, my creativity at the moment. But always love to have different things, never get bored that way. How could I ever get bored with the number of projects that I have going? But yes, it's always nice to have, and different forms, going from like the quilt behind me, regular quilting, to crocheting, or going to working on, like I was yesterday, the slow stitching. Having different means is always something really good to keep us going, keep our creative juices flowing, because we may get bored with one thing, but can go right on to the other thing and keep working. Always great to be able to do that. What did Danielle say? She said LO. Oh, she said LOL. Good one, Danielle, but I don't see what she said. Oh, that's because I didn't, yeah. Danielle wasn't distracting me. Got it. That was up there a ways. Okay, and Mike is wishing everyone a spectacular weekend. Thank you. And yes, it is time to wrap it up. Oh, before I do, I wanted to announce that I am making another change in my schedule because of the way things are going on and happening around here. I have to make a few little changes. So as it stands right now and how I believe that I will be doing this, this will be the last Friday morning stitching in the cottage that I will be doing. I have a lot more time in the evenings to be able to do things now than I do during the day. So I am going to be starting. So you lucky you get 2 stitching in the cottage lives this week instead of 1, because I am going to be starting doing a stitching in the cottage after dark starting this Saturday evening at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And it will be a longer format, but very informal, doing a lot of the same things that you will find me doing on my regular Stitching in the Cottage live. It will just be Stitching in the Cottage after dark instead, late on Saturday evenings. So for those of you that are in the other time zones, that it is, way earlier for you on the morning when I'm on, you'll be able to hop on in the evenings now with me, and I will be staying on late for those of you that, like me, have sleeping issues and can't sleep. So we can chat, we can be working on things, and my content and everything will be at that time instead of Friday mornings. That will make it a lot easier for me in the extra caregiving duties that I now find myself having to do during the daytime. So wanted to make sure everyone was aware of that. So there will be an additional live this Saturday evening at 9:30 to start the new Stitching in the Cottage after dark. Should be fun, different format, very casual, and still informative and teaching and showing things along the way. So thank you. I hope a lot of you are able to show up for that time as well. Almost forgot that. But Art by Nancy Lynn is new to the channel. Also, it's always good to have multiple things going. Yes, it is. And Jean After Dark, what a treat. Yes, it can be. Well, yeah, we'll be changing a few things up with it being in that time slot instead of in the morning, but it should be fun. And like I said, a lot of it will be similar, just with a few changes here and there. Ooh, I'll take a nap. Cannot miss mama, says Danielle. Oh, awesome. Okay, so I got that in and remembered to inform everybody of that. And with that said, thanks everyone once again for being with me this morning. I hope you enjoyed seeing this combination of all my loves that will be in one huge project, and we'll be sharing that with you as it progresses along time. You will see just how quickly maybe some of that can get put together. But remember, everyone, have a great weekend. Hope to see you tomorrow evening for Stitching in the Cottage After Dark. And remember, as always, in the meantime, I can keep you in stitches. Bye-bye, everyone.